What's going on, everybody? Tello Talk podcast here with another episode today. Today is Monday, so we still got one more game left on the Week 16 schedule, which is the Chargers versus Colts. But I wanted to hop on here, and first and foremost, actually, I should have said Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates Christmas yesterday, and Happy Holidays, season's greetings. I hope you guys have a great time enjoying with your family, taking breaks off of school if you're in school, and yeah, that's all of that. And as I was saying, the Chargers and Colts play today, and I think the Chargers will win this game, but best of luck to both teams. Today, I'm going to be going a little bit of a shorter episode as a video episode. I have something to show that it's kind of like how I view the game of football. And I've got two clips later on. We'll do that at the end. Two clips of touchdowns from this last week. And kind of showing and saying what they did wrong, the defense did wrong, and how they can fix that coverage. As I don't have the all 22 camera for film. If I did, we would be doing a lot more of those every week. But I was a big film watcher when I played football in high school, and I study the game. I'm a huge student of the game still to this day. So we'll do that at the end, but we'll start off with playoff scenarios and playoff picture. As of right now, we'll get hopped into it. There's 4 teams in each conference to clinch. The Eagles, Vikings, Niners, and Cowboys in the NFC, the Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, and Ravens in the AFC. Now, 3 of those teams are division winners and division leaders, and 1 is a wild card for both sides. Now, there's 1 division in both conferences that don't have a clinch spot, and that is the AFC South and the NFC South. Both leaders are 7-8, the Buccaneers and the Jaguars. Jaguars just won on Thursday night against the Jets in easy fashion, and the Buccaneers snuck out with an overtime victory against Arizona. Now, am I really hopeful for these teams? No, not at all. I think the Buccaneers will get eliminated first round, and actually the Jaguars could have a chance in beating the Ravens in the first round if the Ravens are to have the number 5, because the Jaguars are on a high point right now. They're kind of on a good win streak, a 3-game win streak, I believe. Yes, 3 games in 11 days. But so I hope they make it. Buccaneers, I hope they don't. As I'm a Saints fan, I'm hoping for the best. Saints have to win out. Bucks have to lose out for the Saints to win the division, which is very unlikely due to the fact the Saints play the Eagles, the number 1 seeded Eagles, next week. But moving into the other 2 wildcard spots for both conferences, we've got the Chargers at 6 and the Dolphins at 7 in the AFC, and then the Giants at 6 and the Commanders at 7 in the NFC. Now, do I see these spots changing? Not as much NFC than AFC, or AFC than NFC. I think the Chargers and Dolphins will stick in those spots more likely than the Giants and Commanders sticking in their spots. And the reason I say that is the Commanders, they've got the Cowboys still, and they're at 7 losses, and Seattle's at 8 losses, and Detroit's at 8 losses. So even the Packers, they're 7-8, and even the Saints or Panthers could slip in at the 7 spot, even with 9 losses, which is insane to think about, since Carolina just beat Detroit. But with those teams in the hunt, I think the fact that the 7-8 in the AFC is a 1-game difference. Miami and the New England, I believe, play each other still. So if New England can beat Miami, they will, swap them, I believe. But no, I don't think maybe the Jets play them still. Don't quote me on that. But I have not. There's another team in the AFC, the Titans. I am not high on them at all. They just lost to the 1-12-1 Houston Texans. I am so sorry. And now they are no longer in first place. The Jaguars are in control of this AFC South now, and they're in control of their own destiny. They have the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans left. This Jacksonville Jaguar team has full capability in making the playoffs. And with a first-year new head coach in Doug Peterson, who, in my opinion, is a fantastic coach, and Trevor Lawrence having a good season this year in his second season, this team could possibly make some damage if they win out and they end their season on a 5-game winning streak. They could make some big damage. Now, as for the Titans, tough luck for them. That you blew your season. They started like 5-2. They 0-2, won 5 straight, lost to obviously they lost to the Chiefs or something after 5 or 6 straight. And I mean, I get it, they're the Chiefs, but like you blew your season away. Like you kind of almost kind of like the Giants and the Seahawks. The Giants started off strong and now they're still number 6. They're 8-6-1, but they definitely could have been a lot higher than they are right now. Same with Seattle. Seattle was 6-3. Now they're 7-8. And unlike the Lions, like the Lions were a team that actually came back, but they got whooped by the Panthers on Saturday. But enough about the Titans and talking about teams getting whooped. But there is 5 teams in each conference in the hunt. I will say now the Raiders will not make it. As much as I want them to. The Saints, I don't see them beating the Eagles next week. If they do, I would be so happy, but I don't see them beating the Eagles next week. So I'm going to have to say they're probably up too. The Panthers do have a chance. The Panthers, if they win out, they make it because they play Tampa next week. And then Carolina plays New Orleans week 18. So as much as I don't like to say it, Carolina has a strong chance at winning this division if they win out. It's very simple how this division is going to work right now. Is Tampa wins one more game against Carolina next week. If they beat Carolina next week, they're in. If Carolina wins next week, then Carolina just needs to beat the Saints. Now, for the Buccaneers, say they beat the Falcons the next week, and then the Saints beat the Panthers. The Buccaneers will make the playoffs. But if the Panthers make it, obviously they make the playoffs. Now, if the Buccaneers lose the next 2 games, they're done easily. Like if they're obviously done. Now that's where you put the Saints into effect. You give the Saints that win against the Panthers in week 18 and the Saints the win over the Eagles, which is a very hard thing they're going to have to do, especially in Philadelphia. Then the New Orleans Saints would be your NFC South winners. And that's how the Saints come in. Now, the Falcons, they're done after going, they're 5-10. They're done. So that's when you look at Panthers implications, as I said, all they have to do is win out because they play the Bucs next week. But if the Falcons win and the Panthers still lose, the Panthers still win the division. This game next week is going to determine who wins the NFC South, pretty much. And as long as the Saints don't win, because if the Saints don't win, then the Saints lose, they're out. But the Saints win, then if the Buccaneers lose week 18 and the Saints beat the Panthers, this game. Even if the Panthers beat the Bucs week 17, if the Panthers lose to the Saints, Bucs win, Bucs are in. This division is the tightest division in the league, and it's the worst division in the league. Not the worst, actually. The AFC South is worst, but yeah. If the Jags beat the Texans and the Titans the Titans lose to the Titans play the Cowboys next week. So even with the Cowboys beating the Titans, if the Titans beat the Jags week 18, that week 18 game, week 17 is completely useless for this division. They might as well just cancel the 17 games unless the Jags lose to the Texans and the Titans win. No, actually. That doesn't matter because they play each other next week. No matter how their records look going into the next week, if they're different, the same, week 18 is the only week that matters for the AFC South. It's very unlike the NFC South, where every game in this thing matters because the Bucs play 2 divisional games, the Saints play a divisional game, the Panthers play 2 divisional games. It is so important because they crammed their schedule. The NFL decided to cram the divisional schedule in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season for these teams, which made this impact on their playoff implications when their division is so tight like it is right now and not very good. And that's what brings me to big questions. Who do I think is going to win it? Now, Tampa did just win last night, but how they played was not good football. Their defense carried their team, and they hardly snuck out a win against a Trace McSorley-led 4-10 Cardinals. Now, Kyler Murray's in that game. The Buccaneers wiped out. They're not doing anything against this Cardinals team if they're going to play like they did last night. Tom Brady needs to start stepping it up more in the first 3 quarters instead of trying to have to get it all done at the end. Now, he is the greatest quarterback of all time, no question. But there's not an excuse for a guy who is the greatest quarterback of all time, the greatest player in NFL history, to be playing like that for 2.5, 3 quarters, and then just, oh, it's fine. I did something in overtime and I caused us to kick a field goal to win the game. You're playing the 4-10 Cardinals. You do not have your playoff spot locked. Do you want to make the playoffs or not? Because the way you're playing makes me think that you don't want to make the playoffs. You have a team right behind you who beat you by 20 plus earlier this season, who is 1 game behind, and you play next week. And that game could determine life or death for you to be in the playoffs or not. Not life or death, but that's it. And you're going out against the 4-10 Cardinals, who are the 3rd worst team in the NFL, and you're playing like you did and hardly sneaking out with an overtime victory. That doesn't sound like a playoff team to me. A playoff team sounds like, as much as I hate to say it, a team that started 1-5, 1-6, 1-5, went out, beat a team that's been on a 6-game win streak, 6 or 5 game win streak, a 6-1 in the last 7 weeks, and goes out and runs 321 yards on that team, rushes for 321 yards on that team, and absolutely manhandles them for 4 quarters of a game to keep their playoff hopes alive. Because if the Panthers don't win that game, they're out of the talk too. Unless some random crap, the Bucks lost out, Carolina Panthers win out, they might still have a chance. But that's the thing. That's the Saints situation right now, since the Saints lost the Buccaneers twice. Carolina isn't in that position. Carolina's in the position where, hey, we've beaten New Orleans once already. We've beaten Tampa once already. Those are our 2 last games. If we just win against teams that we've already beaten and we already know how to beat, we're in the playoffs at 8-9. And hey, you could even make the playoffs at 7-10 if Tampa loses out, and Carolina just needs to win 1. So I personally think that Carolina will make the NFC South, make it in the NFC South for the playoffs. And as I've said, it doesn't really matter who makes it because they're going to lose to Dallas. But I think Carolina has a bigger chance and a better shot at making the playoffs than the team that is ahead, which is Tampa, because Tampa just does not look good right now. They don't look like a 7-8 team. They don't look like a Tom Brady led team at all. I mean, I haven't seen a Tom Brady team like this in, I don't know, forever. It seems like he's always in the playoffs. It's like when LeBron joined the Lakers and, LeBron was always in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden he doesn't make the playoffs the first year, or like his 3rd year. There you go. This is Brady's 3rd year. And last year was, I think, LeBron's 3rd year with the Lakers. So you can kind of correlate that. Now, I'm not saying LeBron and Brady are on the same level, because personally, I think MJ is the GOAT, but that's a debate for a different day. But I'm going to say Carolina wins the division, but I can see the Saints making it if they can find a way to beat the Eagles. If they beat the Eagles, they could beat anybody, but they are so reliant on the Buccaneers losing that the Saints have a very improbable chance. So that's where I'm going to have to say Carolina. And as for the AFC South, I think I've kind of made it evident that I want Jacksonville to win. And I think personally the Giants will keep their 6th seed in the NFC. Moving on for the wild cards, the Chargers will keep their 6th seed for the AFC. I think the Dolphins will stay at 7. Now, here's my favorite spot, is this number 7. There's so many teams in the running for number 7. Washington obviously owns it right now at 7-1. However, there's the 7-8 Seahawks, the 7-8 Lions, the 7-8 Packers and the 6-9 Panthers and Saints down there. There is actually a chance, or the number 12 team in the NFC, which is right now the Saints, could make the 7 seed. And here's how. They beat Seattle. So if Seattle loses to Los Angeles and strictly the Rams, if the Rams lose to Seattle, they're pretty much done. They're pretty much done. And if Green Bay loses one of their next 2, they're screwed. If Detroit loses one of their next 2, which could happen, they are also screwed. And the Commanders lose out. The Saints, I believe, do have a chance to make it. They have currently a 1% chance to make the wild card. So say the Saints win out. They have to win out to make a game, by the way. They have to. They have to win out to make it. See, once again, they win out, they have a 78% chance at making the playoffs. And obviously I'm going to talk about this because I'm a Saints fan. But this is where it gets interesting. Let's say Bears beat the Lions. Lions beat the Bears. Saints go down to 20. Panthers beat the Bucks. Saints go up to 49%, 48%. Vikings beat the Packers. They're at a 50%. They're at a 50% chance at making the playoffs. The Browns beat the Commanders. They go up to 55%. The Jets lose to the Seahawks. Seahawks go to 54. Now, week 18 is where it's important for the Saints. The Falcons lose. The Falcons beat the Buccaneers, then the Saints obviously would win. But say the Buccaneers beat the Falcons. Saints can't win the division anymore. They are very close to getting out of the playoffs. They have a 16% chance with winning the wild card. Packers beat the Lions. Their wild card chances go back up to 28%. Now, here's the 2 games that get very interesting. Say Dallas beats the Commanders. Dallas beats the Commanders. All they need is for the Rams to beat the Seahawks and the Saints make the playoffs. But you heard how many things I had to say. The Saints have to win out. Washington has to lose out. The Seahawks have to lose to the Rams. The Packers have to lose 1. The Lions have to lose 1. And in my opinion, that honestly is a lot more possible than the Saints winning out and the Bucks losing out, since the Bucks have to play the Falcons in week 18. If the Saints, as I said, can beat the Eagles, I do see the Commanders losing their next 2 games. They could lose to the Browns, and obviously I do think they will lose to the Cowboys. The Rams, after how they played against one of the top defenses in the league, dropping 51 points, I can most definitely see that happening, beating the Seahawks, as the Seahawks haven't been struggling. And here's the thing with the Packers. The Packers have to lose 1. They play the Vikings and the Lions. I see them beating the Lions, which checks off the Lions 1-loss box, and I see them losing to the Vikings, which checks off the Packers 1-loss box. And that's all they need. That's all really they need. So that's what I hope happens. I don't think it will. I would love to see the Lions get the 7, but to me, the Packers honestly might. If the Packers win out and the Commanders lose 2, if the Commanders lose, I think even 1 or 2 games, then the Packers make it. And it's probable. I think the Packers, their season relies on this Vikings game next week. It's life or death for them. And we're going to have to see if they can win it or not. But as of right now, I can't really think. I've struggled to make a decision on who I think is going to get the 7 seed. So I will have to probably stick with the Commanders, because the Lions will have to win out and the Commanders will have to lose 1 if they want to make it. The Seahawks will have to win out in the Commanders. It's like every team that's in the bubble in the hunt right now has to win out to make the playoffs, pretty much. Even and the only team that doesn't is Carolina. If Carolina wins and then Tampa loses in week 18, Carolina's in. So it's very, very complex in the NFC. But the AFC, I just think the Dolphins at 8-7 are more comfortable than a team that's 7-7-1, because at 7-7-1, the best you can finish is 8-8-1, 9-7-1. And that's when a team like Seattle, if you lose 1 game, will be 9-8. And you'll be 8-8-1, which will throw you underneath them because a tie cost as a goes as a win and a loss. So I can't really make up my mind on the NFC. I think the Commanders have a very big chance at making it, as they do play not the greatest team in Week 17. I just said them. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of it? Yeah, the Browns. Sorry. Yeah, they play the Browns Week 17, which if they win that, I'm pretty sure they most likely clinch, unless the Lions win out or something like that. I don't know, and the Commanders lose, but that's kind of how the playoff is going right now. But I don't see very much changing. However, I would love to see something change. But that's enough for the playoffs. I'm going to go on to my next part that I want to talk about. This is where it gets interesting. This is a little thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to share screen here, and we're going to talk about two big plays. Obviously, I'm going to show this. I don't own the rights to this. This is all the rights go to the NFL for all this. Now I'm going to show you two plays. I'm going to show you the Kenny Pickett to George Pickens touchdown to win the game against the Las Vegas Raiders, and then I'm going to show you Devontae Smith's touchdown again on 4th down against the Cowboys. Now, starting off with this one, you know what? We'll start with the Devontae Smith one. Here's why I'm going to start with this one. This one is a little bit more easy to understand. You'll very much see it. If you look at the top of your screen, here is Devontae right here. Devontae is right here. That was a bad circle. Devontae is right there, and he's being currently covered by Trayvon Diggs. Now, what you're going to see here is Trayvon Diggs. Look at his eyes already right now. Look where his eyes are pointing. They're pointing that way. His guy is right here. Now, however, this guy who is covering, I can't see who that is, but he is looking in. He is looking in as well, but he can see his guy, you know. Trayvon is so busy on what's going on in here that he's not really paying attention, you know. And you're going to see it here. If I can just give me 1 second, I'm going to start the video up. So see, his eyes are still in the backfield. Let me just erase that off the screen. Eyes are still in the backfield. What we're going to do is we're going to slow down this clip just a little bit. It's really bad quality but slow down the quality, slow down the speed. Going to get the snap right. His eyes are still in the backfield. Look at the other corner. That's what I want you to do. Look at the other guy, the other corner. His eyes went from the backfield to his man. He went straight to the dude because he knows it's 4th and 3. I can't let anything happen. Trayvon, watch his eyes. He's going here. They've all got their jobs, right? He's getting out. I think that's Parsons. Parsons getting his outside. He's reading. They're seeing a little gap here. They see Goddard coming over, so he's kind of playing this edge. Trayvon Diggs still in the backfield. He sees Minshew get the ball. Now, if Minshew gets the ball here, he's out of the play. So these guys really don't need to worry. They need to just one guy contain and the others get over. This guy has got the edge, and Goddard will probably pull him out. So Goddard will probably take a little flat. I believe he does. See, and that'll take somebody. And the edge guy actually did the great job. He kept his ground, and this man right here comes with him. He goes past him. 42 here, Keanu Neal, I believe. Or no, Anthony Barr. He goes for this. Now, he goes for that flat. The problem with Trayvon Diggs here is his job, that original corner on that inside guy was right here. His job was this corner, was this route right here, which is Devontae Smith. He's got the quarterback. He's going to tight end. Diggs does not need to break in on this. And you see he breaks down, leaving Devontae wide open, which obviously Minshew sees and hits him in the end zone wide open for a touchdown. Now, all Trayvon Diggs has to do there is literally just do exactly what this corner right here does. Get your eyes on the receiver. Get your eyes on that receiver. I find it hard to believe that their fourth down scheme was for Diggs to just rush. Because you see, he's going for Minshew. He's rushing after Minshew. Anthony Barr is catching up with Goddard. Give Goddard the flat route. You've got guys. You don't give out the guy going deep. You see Devontae Smith almost goes unrecognized. Trayvon Diggs just really doesn't see it. He goes almost unrecognized and easily into the end zone. The first person to recognize him is this guy right here, and he's already way too late. And that's something that I hate seeing. Is just, it's obviously I don't know what coverage they're running, but it's so easy to understand, in my opinion, what you have to do there. And we'll move on to the next one. This game was kind of a big game. I mean, with the passing of Franco Harris, rest in peace. And then obviously the 50-year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception was December 23rd, and this was December 24th. So this was a 50-year one-day anniversary of the play. And obviously, since Franco Harris was the one that made the play, is a little bit of a importance. So with the last one, what I will do is show you here. So he obviously is right here. That's a bad line, but that's a terrible line. He's probably about here if you go 5 yards deep. And I want you to just notice where Nate Hobbs is right now. Nate Hobbs is playing outside shade when he's got two outside. He's got a guy lined up with him. 37 is a little bit outside. 21 looks a little bit outside too. He's got a safety up top right here. He's got number 30. And then Trayvon Moyrig, TCU Horned former TCU Horned Frog, is up here. You can kind of see him right there. It's just a little speck. They are currently running a cover 2 man concept as the way it looks in this play. And you will see as we get this play started. Let me turn the playback speed onto half. You'll see here. The route concept is simple. 83, Hayward, which is Cameron Hayward's brother, I believe. He is going to break in. See, break in. He breaks in quick. 18, Deontay Johnson, he'll break in too. So once again, there is a safety back here. Both of these in routes kind of negate the safety being over there. That safety can come in more. He doesn't have anything to worry about. Now 30, he originally has this zone, realizes that one guy in that zone isn't doing anything, and he comes over, but he's a little late, and you'll see on this other camera angle. And that causes, with this outside shade on Nate Hobbs on George Pickens, Kenny Pickett makes a great read and realizes Pickens is wide open. I'm going to hit him on this route. And he eventually does right here with a touchdown throw, and that's basically what ended the game. So you'll see there's safety. That safety is right there. And here's the angle that actually, when I looked at it, kind of like boiled my blood and made me angry to see as a former safety. But obviously he scores. Okay, here's a better angle. We've got matchup here. He is keying the running back. We got the 4 pass rush, 2 safeties. Now, what I want you to watch here is we're gonna watch this play a couple of times. We're gonna watch this safety first, this safety next, and then Nate Hobbs, and then we're gonna put it all together. So watch what this safety does. 1, 2, 3, dead feet. Then he goes. He sees something, and watch this little hesitation that he does. Right about there, right about here. Ready? And you see the ball thrown. Obviously, he's very far to make a chance. Watch his feet. Stops. He stops his momentum, and then he goes again because he realizes that he doesn't have a chance. But he most definitely could have done something about it all the way when he started the play. Look at his feet. His feet are dead to rights, starting the ball. He's standing up straight, dead to rights. And he's going to do nothing in this stance. He will do absolutely nothing. Trayvon Moyrig, absolutely nothing in the stances they are in. And once again, he is walking back. Now, however, he is doing what you should do kind of when it comes to playing the end zone. If your feet are already at the end zone, you do not need to move as much. You just got to keep your feet alive. And his feet are dead. His feet are dead right there. Both feet flat on the ground. He's got no way to break. And he's looking over here. He sees it coming. He's not looking over here because he knows this is covered. If you look over here, that's where you need to just, slowly just start trailing over. But he never starts trailing over. And that causes him to just keep on watching. And then obviously Pickett sees the opening and gets it to Pickens for the touchdown. Now, let's watch Trayvon Moore. Start off the snap. He's standing straight up. Little shuffle. Does a little shuffle. He's doing the Cupid shuffle apparently back there. Does another one. But at this point, remember, the number one receiver out, which is the outside, and the number two receiver in the middle, they both broke in. So there is no reason for him to keep going outside. They are breaking in. They are stopping. They are going to a stop. Pickens is already kind of making the decision. I'm going to go to Pickett is already going to Pickens pretty much at this point. Does another shuffle. These guys broke in. Then look what he does. As soon as they break in, he stops. He stops his feet. Now, Pickett is getting ready to throw the ball. That is where, if you're Trayvon Moehrig, what you can do here is you can try your hardest, absolutely haul ass to get over to where that R is, where the E is, because you're in terrible position right now. There's nobody attacking your zone, so you go help another zone. And that's where this all goes wrong, as he just stands there. He does not move. And then all of a sudden he goes, oh crap, I was supposed to help on that. And boom, touchdown, George Pickens. Look at him. He does not even get towards there. Feet are dead to rights. And that's the biggest thing that happened in this touchdown play, is the fact that both their safeties' feet are dead. They've got no one attacking their zones except the one guy that's running the route to beat a cover two man concept. And if they've got no one to attack their zones, they need to stop the cover two man beater, which is the seam route. Seam routes will always kill that cover two because they've got the two high safeties covering the two half zones, then leaving the middle a little bit very vulnerable. And we're going to head into the next person we need to watch here, which is Nate Hobbs. As I said, Nate Hobbs was playing outside shade here, which doesn't really make sense if he's got two guys outside of him running outside shade and no one inside of him to help. So why wouldn't you run inside shade on an inside receiver? Because as long as you're pushed inside of shade, you're just pushing that guy out to your safety. So what Pickens does here is perfect. He brings it in. You see, he's pushing momentum inside. He pushes momentum inside, which makes Nate Hobbs obviously have to force towards him. He's got to bring in. His job as an outside shade is to force him inside, which he is doing right now by running on his outside shoulder. But then Pickens, what I think Pickens does incredible here, is he shifts his momentum from inside to outside. So he starts leaning outside. As you can see there, he puts his momentum a little bit towards the outside, forcing Nate Hobbs, which I believe that is Nate Hobbs, to feel more pressure to his outside, opening up his hips more, which you see he went from having 1 foot, his feet like 1 foot towards the end zone and 1 foot kind of towards the goalpost, like 1 foot towards the sideline, like not sideline, but like 1 foot. 1 foot was facing this way and 1 foot was kind of this way, because he was kind of more condensed and closed. Now his foot is starting to transition to this. His feet are going from that to this. So George Pickens is putting his momentum that way, which is making Hobbs go that way too, because obviously he doesn't want to lose that outside shade. And once he realizes that, you see the separation here. They've got about this much separation, and I'm going to keep that on here. And then you see Pickens realizes, hey, I can break it off. He's still getting his momentum that way. He gets his momentum this way. And look at that. He's got at least 3 yards on him. Now, from the perspective and angle, the line might look the same, but that much yardage from in that much yardage, that's about 5 yards. That's about 5 yards of getting there. And he's got so much more space. You really can't see it, but he's got so much more space because he still hasn't adjusted and put his feet back inside. His feet are straight. They are straight right now. His feet are going like this. His feet are like that. And Pickens is obviously going this way. So this guy's going to have to take time to adjust and turn like this while Pickens is already going that way. As for this guy, he's kind of like that. See? So that's going to cause Pickens to get more separation and more space, which eventually leads to look at that. Look at how much space there is. He is at the 4-yard line. He is at the end zone. There is so much space, which leads Pickens to get that touchdown. And, first off, incredible route by Pickens to great decisioning, great smarts. But Nate Hobbs in the first place, why are you playing outside shade on a number 3 receiver when there's no one inside of you? I mean, look, inside. He's going inside. Pickens, he is pushing inside. He's also pushing inside, but Hobbs pushing inside. Pickens is starting to push outside, which makes Hobbs react late. He just starts his push outside as Pickens is about to push back in. He pushes in. Hobbs is still pushing out. Hobbs' first move inside, and the ball is already thrown. And he is nowhere near Pickens anymore. And that's where the problem happens for these Raiders DBs is I see it a lot. My dad's a Raiders fan, so I watch a lot of Raiders games. I see it a lot. The Raiders DBs are very lazy. Their safeties do not know how to keep their feet moving, and they do not understand sometimes how they don't need to stay in a zone just to be in a zone. If there is no one in the zone and no one planning on attacking your zone, if there's no one on your side of the field, you don't need to stay in that zone. You can adjust. It's a zone for a reason. You don't need to stand in an area. It's not a pure zone. You cover a man inside of that area. And if there's nothing coming to that area, you can make your zone bigger. You can adjust your zone. And that's what both these safeties did not do is they kept their zones to their strict zones. It's almost like their coach was going to like yell at them or something. It's just a little weird if you ask me how both the safeties refuse to move. They refuse to move. And then with Nate Hobbs, as I said, I really hope that's Nate Hobbs because I've been bashing him all day. His reaction time just wasn't on par with Pickens. I get it. This is half speed. Full speed, this play is a lot faster. As a matter of fact, I will show you full speed. I will show you this play in full speed. Let me put it into full speed. This play in full speed. This is still a little slowed down a little bit, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's slowed down a bit too. But don't play outside shade on a 3 receiver when you have no one in the middle. And this play more of it's not only the DBs just being dumb and not doing their responsibilities correctly. It's also Pickens ran a beautiful route. And this kept the Steelers alive in the playoff race because now they're 7-8. They were pretty bad starting the season off. I think 2-6 or something like that. But now they're 7-8. They've got another chance to go over 500 again at 9-8. As Tomlin's never gone under 500 in his career. And they've got playoff chances now because they're only one and a half, one game behind, kind of two-ish. Look at that. He's still going outside and Pickens is already inside. He finally gets inside and Pickens is already getting the ball. But that's kind of how I see the game of football. That's going to be it for me on that. But that's just kind of how I see the game of football. And I'm planning on doing more of these. as long as you guys enjoy them or not. You guys enjoy like seeing me break down plays and break down film. But a lot of stuff going to happen in these last 2 weeks. It's going to be a crazy finish to the NFL season. And last year's playoffs was incredible. I hope we can have another year like it, but a better champion. As I'm not a big Rams guy, but I appreciate everyone for watching. That's going to be the end for this, and I'm going to have to go here. Make sure to subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. If you're watching this, obviously, as this is a video. And then if you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple, then follow the podcast, their Instagram, Tello Talk Sports. And this has been a good one. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Tello Talk out. Peace.